Thanks for watching the Carolina Justice Report. I'm Rainee Romero. Today we're chatting all about the Brittney Griner case. Welcome back. I'm here with attorneys Amy Lawrence and Sharde Crawford. How are you ladies doing?
Doing good.
Pretty good.
So, this is a pretty big thing in the news right now with Brittney Griner and kind of what's happening with her. So she was recently sentenced to 9 years in Russia, in prison there. Let's backtrack a little bit just in case people don't know what's going on. Why is she over in Russia in jail?
So she's a WNBA player, and not that this is an excuse, but WNBA players are notoriously underpaid. And so she had a second job in her off season playing in Russia. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, make sure. and I get all upset about these cases. And so when she's over there, she's leaving, and they found a weed pen.
As she was leaving Russia to come
And
to the
it wasn't
US?
even full, right? It just had the remnants of marijuana in it.
It wasn't a lot. I know that.
It was a very, very tiny amount. And she was arrested and held. And she had a trial, a very quick trial, and was sentenced to 9 years.
Yes, just happened. And so when she was sentenced to 9 years, I mean, obviously I'm not an expert with Russian law and how they go about things, but was that a high sentence for them or?
Well, it says, based on my research, it says that the average amount of time that someone would get is about 5 years.
Okay.
But there are other individuals from America who have been sentenced for far greater amounts of marijuana who received only a fine.
Wow.
2 months time that they time served sentence and a fine, whereas she's getting this 9 year sentence plus a $16,400 fine.
Yeah.
So it's pretty, the fact that it's garnering this outrage shows that it's not a typical sentence.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember when the sentencing, was announced, I had heard, even through friends and family, that it was a strategic move. Oh, they're going to try and trade her. Oh, they're going to try and do this and that since she got 9 years. And now we find out that they actually are trying to do some sort of trade with her. Amy, what were you going to say?
Well, I get all upset about a lot of this stuff, so I apologize. But so what we see in this case is we forget it's not in a vacuum, right? So in this case, we've got this this geopolitical issue. We've got the war in Ukraine. The United States has backed Ukraine. We're giving them tanks and bombers and guns and all this stuff, and it's pissed off Putin. And so if you don't believe that this is Russia's using this as leverage against the United States, then you're living in a fantasy world, right? So that's the game they're playing, and so far they're winning. And the issue becomes is that the person they would like to trade her for is the Prince of Death, right?
Literally, that's his nickname, right?
He was the number one wanted person in the CIA across the United States. Across the world, by the United States. And so I just don't think that we should be trading Brittney for
the Prince of Death.
Super dangerous person.
Yeah. And I think also, and Sharde and I have talked about this before, everyone's this is crazy. This is happening in America.
Yes.
And they're getting far more sentence time. We know people who are doing, we've seen cases where people are doing far more time for very little marijuana, in the federal, especially the federal system, but also in the state system. And so I think if we're going to cry outrage that Russia's doing this, we need to take a long, hard look at ourselves and our own laws, because it's bullshit no matter where it is. If it's in America or if it's in Russia, people shouldn't be doing prison time for small amounts of marijuana when it's legal in so many states.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense. And so we just thought we need to take a long, hard look, and we need to release the people in prison for marijuana in the United States just as hard as we need to fight for Brittney in Russia.
Right. And, just to kind of give a couple names to this, they're trying to trade Brittney and another person that is from the U.S. being held. I think I'm trying to find his name, but I think it's Paul Whelan. And do either of you know anything about who Paul is?
He's an American that's charged with espionage.
Okay. So, somebody else that was over there. And just as a side note, I can imagine how scary that would be, being in another country. I mean, does she speak Russian?
I don't know, but one of the things that I saw that bothered me is that they say she's charged with smuggling. And when I think of being alleged to have been a drug smuggler, I think of more than just a vape pen in my suitcase.
We think
right?
mule, right?
Okay.
We're thinking bricks of cocaine.
Okay.
And now we're thinking,
like
kilos. I don't even really know what that means, but it's a
lot of grams
right.
of heroin
Yeah.
hidden in my body cavities.
Oh yeah.
And but it makes me also think about our trafficking laws here,
Yeah.
right? When you are charged with trafficking, which essentially you would also think of as smuggling, right? That's how I would think of it. But then I remember one of the first drug cases I was going to try. It was a heroin trafficking case. And I go to look at the evidence. And when I get there, I'm like, well, where's the bricks?
Yeah.
Where's the cases stacked up?
Yeah.
And the police laugh at me because they're like, well, first of all, it's heroin. And so the trafficking weight for heroin
You're waiting for the aha moment,
4 grams.
right?
Yeah. And it's not. It's just this teeny tiny amount. And so it just really makes me look at our drug laws.
So I remember when I took my first drug case, they told me this guy had like 2.5 grams of marijuana, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what does that look like? What is 2.5 grams? Okay, let me just tell you this. It was like half of a Dorito. Mm-hmm. I went and got like a little scale at the grocery store when I was buying groceries because, okay, I'm gonna sound like the biggest like nerd ever. She's a nerd too, so she can appreciate this. Right. We've never done drugs before, so like when I saw, like in my head, we're thinking like bricks of cocaine, right?
Yes.
And then I go and I'm like, I get my little scale and I put it to grams because in my head I just can't do math. I'm an English major, and I'm like, it was a paper clip was like 3 times the amount of marijuana that this guy had, and you're like, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. You're wanting to put people in prison for 25 years for something that is less than a Dorito? I mean, that's insane. Mm-hmm. It's insane.
Mm-hmm. And then when you say it's smuggling, but there's no intent behind it, it's just like with trafficking. There's no intent behind our trafficking laws. It's just about possession, And so in this case, here she is saying, yes, I possessed it. And I did place it in my bag, but I had no criminal intent in it.
Right.
And it's just scary that you can get 9 years for something as
Very
simple
scary.
as that.
Because like when you think of like a small amount of, and we all have I think all of our lives have been touched with the opioid epidemic.
Yeah.
We all know people who do heroin, who've gotten hooked on oxy from like a surgery, and then this just becomes what they have to do to like not be sick anymore.
Right.
And so they have no intent of going and like selling this or taking it across state lines to like package up and send it from Mexico. Like this is in your
These are
head.
not
That's what
criminals.
you're thinking. No,
Yeah.
it's all for their personal use. And when you take that intent out of it, that it's just the weight of it or lack of weight of it, I think would probably even be a better description. It just all seems like bullshit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and I did find, it was Paul Whelan, who is another American imprisoned in Russia. They want to trade him and Brittney and it's actually two Russians that are in the U.S. in prison.
King of Death and the Prince of Death.
Yeah, basically, yes. They want to trade those two for convicted Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout. And then also they have requested for the convicted murderer and former Russian spy Vadim, and I'm going to mess up this last name, but it's something like Krasikov.
Something very Russian.
Very Russian. I apologize for my accent on that. But both sound like very dangerous men for these two little weenie U.S. people.
Well, how I look at it, the guy who we're trying to trade, the other guy, our American, he was in the CIA. He knew what he was getting into, right? Mm-hmm. But people are always like, well, why are we not fighting for these people and these people to get out and all this? It's not an or in life. Mm-hmm. And that's what I see when I see, and it's people that I adore and love. I don't participate in the argument because you're not going to get us anywhere,
right?
In the online Facebook world of whatever. But it's like, why are we not getting out all these other people? And I'm like, it's not an or. We should fight to try to get back every American that we can. But that doesn't mean we should trade the, Prince, King of Death to get them.
Yep. I mean, they're still discussing this, and it makes sense that Russia would use this as kind of a bargaining tool for things, of course.
It's leverage, sure.
What do you think is going to happen with this? Do you think that they will actually trade these two?
I don't know.
I don't know
I saw
either.
that they just filed an appeal for her as well.
Yes.
I don't know if they're going
It's going to go about just as far as it would in this court.
Exactly.
Not far at all.
I know, because I saw that the judge who sentenced her said that she considered her charitable activities, her statement about the lack of intent, and other things, that her mitigating factors.
Right.
Yeah.
And still,
because the problem is with Brittney's case,
gave
she
her the 9-year
admitted.
sentence.
She admitted to the
Placing it
possession.
in there, yes.
Yeah. So I just don't foresee it getting anywhere with an appeal.
No.
But that is very recent. That happened just
And
today.
and also let me say this: my heart breaks for her. Right? We've all seen that Claire Danes movie.
Yes.
Right?
Broken Down Palace?
Yes.
Is that what it's
Yes,
called?
broken
so.
down.
Yeah.
Yes. We've all seen that. Like our hearts go out to her.
Scary.
It's
So
awful.
scary.
But I just don't know if we should be trading the Prince of Death.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure that it won't stop there. Even if we deny that, I'm sure it's still gonna be bargaining back and forth for a while.
Yeah.
On what makes sense, because honestly, if they do trade these dangerous Russian men, I think that there's still gonna be a ton of backlash from U.S. citizens of like, what the heck,
But I mean, just also think about the precedent that it sets, right? That we as Americans, when we go to another country, that we can be detained on the smallest issue, be tried very quickly in this foreign court, all as a political maneuver for any opposing government to get back whomever they have over here.
Yeah.
And that, to me, as an American, is scary.
Very scary. It's scary all around. I mean, I keep seeing, images of Brittney, who's over there, pictures of her, in handcuffs going to trial and going, being moved from place to place and stuff. And she just looks very like,
Pitiful.
well, I mean, I honestly think she just looks very like stoic in a way. I mean, I don't ever see her like crying. I don't ever see her like much emotion on her face. I mean, I don't know if that's just her like
Well, I think there's a punishment for
but-
being a weak woman, right?
Well, yeah,
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
she's being very strong over there.
Definitely.
It's got to be very, very scary with this other language. You're being tried in this other country. I mean, that's like your nightmare, right? Being in a place where you don't have family or citizens to help back you up, and you don't understand what's going on. It's in another language. I mean, it's just very scary. But yeah, I don't know. So at this point,
I do want to say something to all the people who make these comments on Facebook. She gets what she deserves, all that stuff. Let me just be real clear. If we all got what we deserved in life, we'd all fall short.
Yeah.
That's why God gives us grace, right? It's
Yes.
forgiveness and a do-over even when we don't deserve it.
Yes.
And it breaks my heart when I see people like that, because
Just being
if that's going to be, if that's the hill you're going to die on, then you're throwing rocks coming from a glass house.
right.
Yeah.
And I think that
Because there was no malicious intent here.
No.
This is not a bad person.
we all deserve better than that.
Yeah.
We all deserve to give her better than that.
Yeah. So at this point, we're just kind of waiting for them to go back and forth, right?
Yeah. The waiting game.
Very scary. So how does this work, as far as they filed an appeal, now what happens,
Who knows? It's Russian. In America, how it would go is it would take months to see if cert was going to be given. We just don't know because it's Russian law.
Right.
And it's kind of like the Wild Wild West. They do what they want to do. So it's just a waiting game. Wait and
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Well, and I should have linked these two, but I totally forgot about basically us helping fund the war in Ukraine. And it's a bad time to be locked up in Russian prison
Absolutely.
for a U.S.
Oh, yeah.
person. So that is just, I feel for her and the family and her teammates and everybody for this. Any other last thoughts?
Just that we all need to do better, whether it's Russia or the United States.
Yeah.
The Brittney Griners of the world don't need to be in prison,
Right. Right.
whether they're here or there.
Yeah. And also, if she was playing on the Russian team, I mean, those should be her people too, I would think that they would try to fight for her, but it doesn't seem like it. I don't know.
Nothing trumps Putin.
Yeah. So, All right, folks. Well, leave us your thoughts in the comments. We love to hear from you and talk about any questions you may have on the next episode. We drop new Carolina Justice Report episodes every Tuesday at 2 p.m., so make sure you stay tuned. Those come out live at 2 p.m., but then you can also watch the videos and previous episodes on YouTube as well, and also on our website, justiceislovely.com, under the Carolina Justice Report tab. You can also find us anywhere you consume your media: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We are everywhere. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.